They think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wants to fight me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Welcome to Body Work. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Body Work Boxing. It feels so good to be back. This is going to be an event session. I'm just going to talk about how I see the sport of boxing right now, man, and like always, reiterate some things and put some stakes in the ground and connect some dots for some people out here. But I always look at it like, man, boxing is in a good place, a good space. It's all in how you look at it. But it is a lot of shall I say, peculiar things going on. And I was reminded about a segment I was doing for a period of time right after I got off of the gaslighting. Gaslighting is really going on, but I thought that I'd go back to the bread and circuses before I go ahead and get into the event session. And the phrase Panama circuses, which translates to bread and circuses, used to describe a political tactic of gaining public approval by providing entertainment and food to appease the public. The phrase is attributed to the Roman poet Juvenal, who used it to describe the basic needs of the common people. The phrase is used to describe a tactic that distracts the public from more important matters. In the Roman Empire, the government would provide free food and stage large spectacles to keep the people happy. The free grain and controlled food prices meant that the plebeians would not starve, while the free entertainment kept them from becoming bored and restless. The phrase can also be used to describe any entertainment that distracts the public from more important matters. For example, that C-19 pandemic, there was a rise in streaming entertainment such as Netflix, YouTube, Disney Plus, and Prime. And I ain't gonna charge you nothing for that. We told you where it evolved from or where it stemmed from, but it identifies the only remaining interest of the Roman populace that no longer cares for its historical birthright of political involvement. What are you talking about, Mike? If you listen, I'm gonna tell you, right? Why did the emperors give poor bread and circuses? Free grain and controlled food prices meant the plebeians could not starve, while free entertainment such as chariot races and gladiators. Being captured in a war, why did the Roman emperors give the poor bread and circuses? So the poor would not rebel, right? So it's like they give us these things, man, so we could be entertained and we won't rebel, right? But sometimes when we escape some of the political things, some of the real life, salute the Cookie Monster. Body work sounding great. Okay, appreciate that. I always need that. But some of us, right, when we try to go out here and when we out here, you know what I'm saying? We dealing with real things all the time. We dealing with the politics. We out here living life. We don't deny that. It's not easy. We don't live the lifestyle of the rich and famous. So we just looking at everything like everyday life with maybe having to vote, maybe having to go get groceries, looking at the price of groceries. When they talking about free food, I'm like, where at, homie? Y'all ain't even doing it like the Romans. At least it was free food. I don't know if y'all seen gas prices or food prices here lately. I'm not sure. But all fruit popsicles, I think 4 in a pack, maybe 6. Pomegranate, real pomegranate, frozen pops, $4.99. They're not even doing that right. But when some of us try to escape the politics of life and we try to get away from all the harsh truths and the things that we got to face, and we try to come into this sport of boxing where we're entertained, they bring that bullshit right over into the game. And I'm like, how lame. Because we go to boxing to look at boxing. Like, we go for the sweet science. We go to see people get put out, people get snuffed, people get hit in the head. We see how people make adjustments, like Caleb Plant. And they still bring that politic and that bullshit over here. And I know it's a business at the end of the day, but it's funny how people want to recognize when it's a business versus when it's not. Like, I've been hearing the most disgusting things ever here lately in boxing, man. Like, a couple of months ago, it was a whole live dedicated to finding a cherry pick for a guy, like looking for the softest touch. I heard some of the softest jargon. I mean, and this is me trying to immerse myself in the sport. Now I understand the business side. If you've been watching for any sustained period of time, or if you even of some certain age, you just know that there's a business behind the game. That's how the boxers get paid. That's how everybody gets paid. So we know that it's a business. But people use the business of boxing to hide behind when, or how low, or how great, or the margin for whether or not their fighter should have to fight some goddamn body, or the privilege of not. So now, not only are we campaigning for soft touches, I seen matchmaking for soft touches. I swear it was about 3 weeks ago. Soft touches, it was matchmaking for soft touches. I was like, man, what kind of community is this? I don't think there's enough colors in the video for this not to be what y'all trying to make it be. But I try to focus, man. I try to look at boxing from the fans' perspective. That's why this past week I was like, man, that's Canelo fight week, man. There ain't no place for me out here in these YouTube streets. Because I realized, man, people still love that beautiful lie. They still love that beautiful lie other than that cold, ugly, hard truth, man. You know, and as long as there's people that still love that, it ain't really gonna be too much of a place for me. I consider myself like some Lloyd Banks of this shit, you know what I'm saying? Where I know my lane, I'm not trying to be the Drake of this shit. It's too many people you gotta appease, too many mitts you gotta rub, and too many couches you gotta sit on, and too much shit that I'm just not willing to do. But I pride myself on going over, looking at boxing, trying to understand where a person came from, where they're going, and try to have an honest assessment of what I'm actually seeing and what's going on. And if you let the powerful beacons of speaker phones have the narrative, man, they'll have you going down some dark alleys, man. They'll lead you right to recession with no proof. No nothing to stand on. And I realize, man, now that I'm, pretty much doing everything for myself, I realize, man, shit, I don't gotta bite my tongue no more. It's like, it's conditioning, man. I don't know if that's from part of being from the military time. I don't know what it is, but like now here recently, since I became free, I don't have to bite my tongue. I'm permitted to speak free. And if we're gonna go down this alley with boxing, man, if we're gonna go down this path, man, like we're not leaving anything for we're not leaving any meat on the bone for the future of boxing. Like we are basically ushering it. I swear, like it probably about 4 years ago, I was always saying, man, boxing is getting more and more like WWE, getting more and more. And I was just playing around, you know what I'm saying? Like how we doing life, I was just playing around. But it is. It's like that's what people want. People care more about who said what and who got in whose face and who pointed what finger and what and said this and did that, more so than what actually happens in the ring. So not only are we campaigning for soft touches, now we're campaigning for moral victories. I understand it. Salute C-Dub, aka Reggie Bush. Salute Body Work. Salute. Welcome. But I'm like, what are we campaigning, man? Like, where are we leading the sport to? And it's easy for me to say it. Like I said, I don't have to appease. I don't have to feed all these people and have to come up with creative ways just to lie and resonate with this fan base or that fan base. Again, I had already hung up the gloves on my expectations of one Canelo Alvarez. I've been done it. It's like you can't argue with that shit. Like when you making so much money and you got the game on smash, and everybody needs you to get paid, like nobody's gonna come in. It's just like these companies. You really think when you go to HR and you voice your opinion, you say what's going on, you really think if it's really detrimental to the company making any kind of money or suffering anything to actually take a blow to the economy of the company, you really think they're gonna do something about it? No, because he the one that butters the bread. But I'll be damned as a grown man who going to the sport as a fan, gonna look and co-sign half of the shit that people be saying nowadays. Like Berlanga did way better than what I thought. Way better than what I thought. Way better than the odds. The man was a plus 900 money line. I mean, if you put down $100, you're getting 9 back. For the TKO, he was a plus 1,800. Meaning if you put $100 down, you would get 1,800 back. If you had him winning by decision, it was a plus 2,100. Meaning if you put $100 down, you would get 2,100 back. And as a fan, we supposed to be okay with that. We supposed to just campaign with that. We just supposed to just ride and just let them just get away with that. No, like we gotta stop. Like we can't even. I'm recognizing now that people do not like the truth, you guys. People do not like the truth. So when you got the blue collar people that's working up from the ground up that I don't care how many couches they put before me. I'm not walking through no doors. I'm not selling nothing. I can create all day, every day, nothing but ideas. Bite worthy. I'm not doing it. You ain't got to worry about me. But it should be a place where you appreciate where people can actually tell the truth and be honest. It's like people create these things, and they like traps, like boxers set traps. You going to the right, move to the left. You see where they go. Right. You go to the left. You see where they go. Right. As soon as you think you going to the left, you don't. And they following behind you. They're going to go a certain way and bam. I didn't even know nothing about boxing. That was my favorite thing. I would fake the left. And I was so good at moving my shoulder back that you're going to dip one way. And as soon as you do it, bow with the right up. It was a patented move. But people create these vehicles where they'll put you in these circumstances and they'll have you talking about some shit. And if you tell the truth, you're going to be looked at as a hater. It was like a whole environment for the past 2 days to where people created an environment for people to shit on Berlanga. Like, I was just trying to let him live. Like, okay, yeah, he did better than what the odds said. Because the odds You can't be having nobody sit up there and try to kiss the ring or bend the knee for some plus 900, 1800, and 2100 odds. Like, come on, let's stop it. That's according to Vegas. Ain't nobody gonna bend over backwards and extort themselves and be like, oh, hell to the king. Like, what? For what? He showed cojones. He didn't quit. Yeah, it was time when he could have just, you know what I'm saying, did whatever. He made a business decision. He wasn't going to overcommit to nothing. He wasn't going to do nothing. Yeah, he got the moral victory because, and I don't even do moral victory, but he got the moral victory just because the young man beat the odds. He made a bag. He put on. Like, yeah, when he go away, he really ain't have nothing to be ashamed of. He really didn't. But I know people, I've seen fights where, man, I've seen and I know, and I'm one of them. You almost got to kill me to win a fight. That's why I keep myself in the house. I don't care. Like, I was one of them people where I got pulled over by the police a couple times, and in the heat of the moment, because I knew I was doing nothing wrong, I was indignant. I didn't care. What you pull me over for? And yeah, I'm talking just like this. Why? Because I know I wasn't doing anything right. I don't tolerate it. I believe I was born during a certain time. Because I was the type to where I would speak so much that, yeah, they would have had to tie me to the 4 horses, man, and rip me apart. I'm just not going to not be able to say nothing, man. And it's crazy when you go over to a sport, whether your sport is basketball, football, baseball, it don't matter now. Like, now the politics is bleeding over too, and the people are more infatuated with that. And then the loudest voices, the people with all the control, is running the fans down a railroad of bullshit. It's to where people don't even want to talk boxing no more. Because when you get around, and there's supposed to be some synergy or some camaraderie. The minute somebody starts speaking some truth, they start then hate. Me and Dean with hate. It's like, no, you expect your children to tell the truth. That's why I thought that piece with Charles Barkley that I played a while ago was so powerful. Well, he said, yeah, you're not really going to talk about that stuff on air. He was like, no, he's like, listen, our aim is for clicks, likes, and views. We understand it's a business, but when you want to talk about what's really going on, we keep this bullshit going on. People going to be in there playing tag. Playing tag. I heard people talking about how big and how much Berlanga rehydrated and how, oh man, yeah, you give him credit because that guy 200. The minute you missing somebody like Devin Haney, how much he rehydrates, like, oh, there you go. It's like, no, because y'all contradict yourselves in every other conversation when it comes to these boxers. Like right now, why Gervonta Tank Davis is a free man with nothing on the table, everybody's quiet. And ain't nobody talking about it, but if they do, it's just to shit on them and say, oh, these numbers and that numbers. I think they really sweating bullets, because if that number don't do more than what Tank did with Frank, the goose is cooked. It's going to start looking more and more like highway robbery, like when you go into the grocery store and they want you to pay damn near $13 for a small little pack of blueberries. That's what it's about to start looking at. Why? Because you was able to grow them and I can't grow them in my backyard unless I ask y'all for permission. That's how it is in these boxing conversations. Oh, I'm just requesting, or I gotta pay you to get up here and speak the truth. I seen something the other day, and I'll be talking with my lady about it all the time. I said, man, do you realize, man, the stuff that they actually have us paying for? You actually have to pay to speak the truth. He said, you right about that, Body Works. I don't want to know the truth. Can't handle the truth. Movie A Few Good Men. People like to be lied to. I mean, you know, that's just what it is. Like, people really like being lied to, y'all. Like, people like that ugly lie, man. And the minute you start telling the truth, it's like, sometimes it's almost like you listen, man, we're in a bad state where you gotta sit back and withhold the truth to not offend nobody, man. Can we be real? Can we talk about boxing real, man? Because it's now like now people are only gonna tell the truth or only gonna be revealing when it's like their party or their persons or whatever they got best interest in mind. How about we get to a point in time where we just speak the truth? Ain't that easier? I'm not even gonna play, man, because I don't know how long I'm gonna be on here, but can we get to a point where we just start speaking the truth, man? I don't care if it's about basketball, football, baseball, your favorite fighter. I don't care. Is that too much to ask for in 2024? But I realized something. This last week, when I said, you know what, this is going to be my week to be a fan. Because sometimes I take off from doing content just to be a fan, just to be able to pay attention. Just to sit back and look at it and look at everything, you know, and get the big picture approach. Why? Because when you're busy doing this and you're busy running this and you're going to this and this and this and that, and everybody's microwaving the research, because they just grabbing stuff and pulling it out and you get inundated with these informations. You will see a title for this. You'll go in and it's clickbait and you like, oh shit, they ain't even talking about what the fuck. Okay, hold on, let me get out of there. And everybody's microwave, as soon as they grab it, they don't even have full facts. They just trying to put it down on wax. And you tap in and you thinking it's the gospel when it's not. It's not. So what I try to do is I try to sit back as a fan, try to look at everything and, you know, add a fan experience. And that's what kind of keep me grounded to the kind of content I'm going to do. I'm going to do it as if I was the fan that didn't know, because that's pretty much what started me to actually start creating content. Was I got tired of being lied to. It's nothing more than what happened when you go, like, see, sometimes somebody sit up here and tell you, hey, man, if you want to do better, man, just listen, man. Make sure you drink a gallon of water a day. Make sure you do your push-ups. Try to get some physical activity. You know what I'm saying? Limit your starches. Try to eat as many vegetables as you can. Something basic like that. Just the basic stuff. That's like the basic. Like, you don't have to go to the doctor. Like, people got to wait until they have a brain aneurysm or a stroke or something like that. And the doctor tell them, and they're like, oh, man, you know what they told me? I got to change my diet and do a little bit more exercise. I'm glad I went. It's like, ain't nobody around you been telling you nothing like that? It's Twin Body Work Salute. Like, why the doctor or the pastor got to tell you this stuff? Like, why somebody on some big high level got to tell you that? Because most of the time, the common people around you are the same ones that telling you, hey, man, don't do that. Wear gloves when you do this. Like, I know if it's raining out there, put something on. The weather's changing. It might feel like it's still hot outside, but wear a coat, wear a sweater. You going to get pneumonia in your booty hole. Like, that's what the common folk, but you got to go all the way to a doctor for them to tell you something that the local person, the common man, done already told you. Be careful when you always listening to the aristocrats. When you always listening to the people because they're perceived as being on this high level and all that, that's very dangerous. Because they be under so many pressure. They got to feed so many different things. They got to jump through so many different hoops. Why? Because the minute they stop, everything stops. It's just like running a trucking company. When we used to say, when them wheels aren't turning, you aren't earning. So it's always this envelopes over here, it's payola over there, and they got to keep it going. And it's always a tug of war or something they got going on to do this. They could be messed up, but they've been doing really good at convincing us to not use our critical thinking skills anymore. And even when you try to get away from the bullshit of life and try to just enjoy the sport and what people bring to the table and who got the better skills, it's more like who's popular, who got the loudest voice, or has the most frequency, meaning they put out the most shit, even though it's bullshit. James, body work. Salute, James. Berlanga did do better than people thought. They said he was going to be out by 4 rounds. That's what I'm saying. He did better than what most people expected. He beat the odds. He did give his people, whoever represented him, he did give his people, like, who we representing him, he gave them nothing to be ashamed of. But I'm looking at stuff and I'm hearing stuff and I'm like, what y'all want? He lasted 12. What you want me to do? Pull his meat out? Like no, man, no. First of all, it's been 2 days. That's all we've been talking about. That and some new old sparring. Boxing is lame. Depending on who's painting the picture. My thoughts on Danny Garcia. I predicted it, man. I said he was going to stop him, man. Let me see something. Look, just for people, because I be saying, look, I be asking people to put their money where their mouth is, because a lot of times people be talking all that shit, right? And then because you have no real proof of them saying, yeah, I had said that one time in the last video, you know what I was saying? I be saying, put your money where your mouth is. Can you show? So this was something light, but this is just to show, like, when I say put your money where your mouth is, because a lot of times I'll have a bet, because it's one thing different than betting for who you think gonna win, and then it's another thing to bet for where the money was. But this would have been one of them things where I say put your money where your mouth is, because I put this down at a plus 698. So whatever I put down is gonna be, you might well round it off to 7 times. Whatever I put down was going to be 7 times the amount. So if that was 1,000, that'd have been 7,000. But I said it, man, because Danny Power, and I had a segment. I had a whole segment I was going to do. Hey, I was wrong about that. I thought Danny will, and that's all it is about. It's just we all have our picks, and depending on how they are and what's going on, it's just I looked at it from I didn't get my emotions and stuff involved. I didn't go with what my heart said. My heart said, man, look, Danny he's a success story. You can look at Danny as a success story. He did right by his investments. He got, he got family members that's successful. He's been successful outside of boxing, to the point where it led me to believe that where it's like you're too much successful outside of boxing and you're not boxing enough to play both sides of the fence. I said, man, his power ain't been the same since he was at 140. He went the distance with Jose Benavidez at 154. What you think he's gonna do with Laura when Laura been sitting down punching? And I said that if Laura stuck his hand out, you could put $1 bill plus 3 inches in between there, and he can hit Danny. But Danny wouldn't be able to hit him. So if they were standing right in front of each other, Laura can reach out and put $1 bill, the length of $1 bill plus 3 inches. That's the distance he had over him. So as long as it was $1, as long as Laura was within a range of about 8 to 9 inches, he would be able to hit Danny, but Danny wouldn't be able to hit him no matter what he was doing. His footwork was too good. His lateral movement is too good. You can't do nothing about that. And the other thing was, I reiterated on this because I got this from Floyd. When they asked Floyd about him getting hit by Sugar Shane Mosley and when he got cracked, he said, well, it wasn't only the fact that I was out for the 18 months. He said, you got to think, when you're not in the ring getting hit by those smaller gloves, your punch resistance goes down. Like, you can do all the sparring and you'll be used to contact, but you're not going to be used to the kind of punch resistance that you need to keep maintained just so that it'll, because your senses, when your senses ain't getting touched like that hard, that frequency, when it's not doing that, it's a resistance it's a tolerance that you have to develop. So you've been out for 18 months and you ain't fought. When in 18 months you only be done fought 3 times, and in 18 months you haven't fought none, and then you get back in there with somebody that's naturally bigger, naturally stronger, longer, and already, I mean, you can deem that he had a better skill set. Danny was known for setting people up and getting them out of there with that no left hook, and then surprising people with his power because they didn't maintain their distance discipline. Laura was never going to break that distance discipline. And I had an episode I was going to do, and I was going to call it Who Can Be Legend. Look, this is what it was. It was actually, if you seen it, and I was going to say Fight of the Night. And I was going to say Who Can Be Legend. That was the title. You know what? I said, out of respect for Danny, I'm not going to do this video. Why? Because my prediction is that Laura is going to stop him. But I don't want people thinking that I'm just hating on Danny because of how soft boxing is right now. You can't even give a prediction without somebody calling you a hater or saying this. It's like, no, if you've been watching, you've been understanding that you can't play boxing. You can't be out on silk sheets eating whatever you want. Danny had a new baby and everything. Like, don't you know that when you have anybody that's in life, if you ever had a baby, when they pregnant, you pregnant. Just like older in life, when they going through the stuff, you be going through the stuff. It's natural. Anybody understand that? Like, it's just life. You can't do that. And then Laura's been more active. He hasn't been that active, but he's been more active, and he's been sparking people. So when I did this, when I lined this up, listen, even though I lined this up, I think that Castro, respectfully, I think Castro actually got the job done. Castro really messed this little bet up. This was just a little bit. Like, I didn't even really care about this. This was just something to sprinkle out there. And when you look at it, McCumbee was on the way to ruin the plans. The only thing when I do stuff like that, I'll do another bet. Like I had another bet with $10, and the parlay was so crazy that if everything would have worked out, it'd been like $4,000. So I take that 79 and I got back minus the 10, $69. Basically made $70. Placed 2 bets. I do that all the time. Sometimes it don't even be enough to really like show anybody, but I'll be saying, listen, if you know boxing, you've been watching, when you speak on it and you can show stuff like that, you should give you some kind of credence as to, okay, cool, maybe he might know a little bit, because it's not always about who you think gonna win. Betting is about playing the odds and keeping, abreast of what's going on in the sport of boxing, not following everybody's agenda. You'll get off. You said Danny quit, though. That's not like him. Listen, again, what I was saying as far as what Floyd said about the punch resistance, that's why. That's why. If you listen to the interview with Laura, he said, listen, he said, I knew when I first hit, because Danny got a poker face. Danny got a poker face. He got a stone face. Like, he not going to let you show he can have that stone face. Sometimes people say, I have a stone face. I'm not going to let you know when you hurt me. So Danny got one of them stone faces. Laura said when he first hit him, he realized that his punches would affect Danny. And it was like really death by 1,000 jabs. By the time he stepped over and hit him with the straight left, it was over. Because that was the beginning of the end. He was going to keep doing that because at that point in time, Danny was moving around, getting bugs in the windshield. And Laura was stumping him. Why? His punching resistance wasn't there. That was his first time stepping up there. So, I mean, yeah, he quit, but he also made a business decision because Danny has business outside to where He don't need no, even if he had an inkling of any kind of mental health, he didn't need to get damaged or get hit in the head or risk nothing crazy going on. Like, he just seen his father almost. His father had the throat cancer. He beat and then he also had a stroke. He beat that. He just had a baby. He got the loss that he doing. He got a lot going on with him. Danny knew he couldn't get hit in the head at this stage by a guy like that. Why? Because getting hit in the head, the older you are, the worse it is. So he made a business decision. He had no business. He had no business taking a fight. But that's why I didn't do the video, out of respect for Danny, because again, you give a prediction like that, people will say you hating. So I said, you know what? I ain't even gonna do it. I'm gonna be a fan. I'm gonna let it rock out. If you know, you know. Lord has been more active. That's why it's dangerous for these fighters to be inactive for too long. Yeah, they got to be active. And then everybody, even when they active now, they making these moves. But let's talk about this. Teofimo is allegedly going, they got him rumored as being going over there to Matchroom. And y'all know I've been connecting these dots when it come to Matchroom, because I talked about it with Sabril Matias, talked about it with Jaleel Hackett, talked about it with Richardson Hitchens, talked about it with Boots, talked about it with all these guys, because I've been paying attention. And I'm of the notion that if Teofimo Lopez, one, he needs to be in clearance of that Bob contract in order before he make any kind of moves. I do not think he want to bump heads with no Bob at this stage in the game. But if he do happen to go over the Matchroom and he gets one of these deals like Sabril Matias got, or even like Tito Mercado was the latest. Remember them latest? I talked about Maze Runner. Well, I talked about Tito Mercado signing, and I said, listen, man, I'm tired of these. And even with Boots was another one where they sign over there and they say, oh, it's a 3-fight deal, or it's a 5-fight deal, and you don't know none of the names. We gotta stop letting them get away with that. So if Teofimo, because I said, listen, if Shakur Stevenson go over there and sign with Matchroom, that lets me know he don't want the Tank fight. And guess what happened? He went and signed with Matchroom. If Teofimo Lopez go over there and sign with Matchroom, at this point in time, it's gonna let me know he don't really want that Tank fight. And maybe there is a bigger plan, because it was a real big coinky thing about him and Bud going at it and all this. But you know me, I have to qualify everything. So let me go ahead and present this. Let's get into this. And let me read it. This is by Essentially Sports. And you know how YouTube is. So this is fair use. I'm just using it just to read. Give credit what credit is due. It's not mine. But Tank knocks this clown out. Teofimo Lopez ripped apart as training clip draws scathing response amid uncertainty over Gervonta Davis fight. This is September 17th, 2024 by Sudeep Senya at 1:46 a.m. Is Teofimo Lopez fighting Gervonta Davis? The matter is still up in the air. Regardless, T.O.'s new training clip on YouTube has started getting torched by fans with a potential fight on the headlines. You see, Davis was rumored to headline a PBC card featuring David Benavidez at the co-main event in December. Some reports even suggest that his opponent could have been Edwin De Los Santos or Jose Valenzuela after Vasil Lomachenko pulled out of their fight discussion early. Meanwhile, during a handful of interviews, the Takeover spoke about wanting to square off against Davis. While nothing has been confirmed yet, Fight Hub TV hinted at their potential pairing, starting a stampede in the comments. Earlier today, Fight Hype TV posted a training clip of Teofimo Lopez on YouTube titled Teofimo Lopez back in the gym preparing for Gervonta with a question mark in quotation marks. Although Lopez has previously hinted at moving up to 157 pounds for a potential bout with Terrence Crawford, Crawford's recent shift to 157 pounds has prompted Lopez to explore other options. Did Teofimo Lopez just embarrass himself with that training clip? I got it with him there. Gervonta Davis would be a great matchup for him, but one of them has to comply with the weight restrictions to make this bout a reality. Meanwhile, Leonard Ellaby, former CEO of Mayweather Promotions, expressed his thoughts on the fight, claiming Lopez just throws out names, but the Davis fight won't happen anytime soon. Regardless, after Lopez's training clip from the Gleason's gym in Brooklyn, New York came to light, let's just say fans had stuff to say. I guess we're going to get into some of the things that the fans say. Fans come up with the wild predictions for Teofimo Lopez. Whether there are fighters in the cards, it didn't take long for Lopez's clip and Fight Hub's question to excite fans. One user shared his take on the potential fight. That's the fight to make, the user wrote. However, Lopez is known to make crazy demands for prize money in such fights, so only an official announcement is reliable. Another user shared his prediction of the fight if and when it happens. The user remarked, Tank knocks this clown out. Davis is currently on a 4-fight knockout streak, so it's a possibility. Unlike the previous user, this commenter didn't even think Lopez deserved a shot at Davis. Tio don't deserve a Tank fight right now, wrote the user. Both fighters are champions and among the best in their divisions. While Lopez might not draw as large a crowd and has had fewer fights, it's worth noting that Davis has fought Frank Martin, whose resume isn't as impressive. Old picture of Tank right there. Meanwhile, this user speculated Davis won't be Lopez's next opponent. Preparing for another Claggett, the user wrote. Steve Claggett was a rather easy challenge for Lopez, and it didn't take much for Lopez to win the fight earlier this year. One user emphasized Teofimo Lopez's need for a change in trainer. Man, they put Teofimo. Wow. The user wrote, better trainers will definitely elevate T.O. Fundamentally sound, he has more to show with better trainer. Notably, Lopez largely trains under his father, Teofimo Lopez Sr., but he recently trained with Eddie Reynoso. That said, it appears fans aren't giving him much of a shot to win against Gervonta Davis. The numbers suggest the same, but only time will tell whether Lopez can, or more importantly, whether he tries. Do you think Lopez stands a chance against Tank? Now, with some mixed reviews there where, I didn't really get the whole not deserving of a Tank fight. It's like, you could say the numbers and you can, if you listen to Leonard and say that, like, the fight not ready and it's down the line, it's like, yeah, because they know the numbers and all that. But as far as he fits the criteria as far as being one of the 4 kings, being deemed as a legacy fighter, and checking off at least 4 blocks. And I've always said, why not? When it came down to it. This is the only other thing I wanted to look at. The title says, Kendrick needs to control himself. Terrence Crawford and Teofimo's altercation becomes a laughing stock as fans fixate over UFC mishap. Let me see. I'm trying to get to the part because I don't like that whole. That's something that happened where they labeled him under there, but I want to figure out if it actually gets into what happened between T.O. and Bud. I'm not really with all the dumb shit. Additionally, Crawford was also spotted at Canelo Alvarez Edgar Berlanga marquee boxing event, which was happening just a few miles away from the Sphere at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The cameras captured him having a heated altercation with WBO super lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez, who was there to support Canelo during their Edgar Berlanga fight. Videos showed Crawford reaching out towards Lopez with an outstretched hand, with the latter swatting away. Fight Hub TV posted the video on their Instagram handle with the caption, "Terrence Crawford went at it with Teofimo Lopez earlier today during Canelo Berlanga fight. Thankfully, there were security personnel at the venue to separate the two boxers as they hurled insults at each other." Who do you think was more at fault in the altercation? And this is crowd engagement. A lot of people can, people can get paid for this kind of stuff. They can be the ones trying to set the narrative. They could be the ones trying to pull out fillers to kind of gain, or peg how much fans are truly interested. I did find it kind of interesting that Teofimo Lopez was training with Reynoso and them. Then you see this altercation and all that other stuff. I'm not contributing to the clown shit that Teofimo Lopez do. I'm just saying that if there's any validity to Teofimo Lopez really wanting to fight Bud, one, how seriously do we got to take him? Because he is going to have to jump all the way up to 154. And people do kind of question whether or not his power stayed at 135. I'm going to be honest. I do. I know he has power. He has core strength. He probably really got his grown man strength now. You know what I'm saying? That happens as you get older. But if there's some legitimacy to it, I'm one of the people that say, man, go ahead, man, Bud, go ahead and spike his ass. Because if it's not Bud, then it would be Boots. It's looking like he don't want no Brian Norman. Why? Because a loss to Brian Norman would just, it would really put a big stain on it after the Kambosos loss. Because he haven't really rebounded. Like, people still give him flack for that, even though Kambosos kind of caught lightning in the bottle with that. You know what I'm saying? Hasn't really been able to duplicate that kind of performance. Remained feisty, but hasn't been able to duplicate that kind of performance since Teofimo Lopez. And that was really lightning in the bottle. You could probably say a bad night at the office, even though I'm not making an excuse. Kambosos showed up. He won in those championship rounds. And that was the difference in the fight, in my opinion. But with Canelo moving the way he moving, and him having the ability to pick and choose, you don't know what, and you cannot guarantee what Canelo was doing. That's why I'm saying we just gotta come to terms that certain fighters, you can't. What can you do when they can just pick whoever they want? And the loudest people, the loudest voices, the loudest barometers are just going to be out here just campaigning whatever they do. Why? Because they've just got to that point. Whether it's right or wrong, whether the competition is stiff or not, it's going to be a cosign. And if you point out the contradictions to how they believe about everybody else, you're going to be deemed as a hater. It's up to us to try to identify not only the things that we differ in, but the things that we are alike and that we can be in agreement on. And I don't care if they look across YouTube and we are in the united front. Even if we don't fuck with each other, we can at least be like, yeah, nah, we don't agree with this. Then maybe they'll be like, hey man, ain't no interest out there. I put that out, I ain't get no haps on that. Ain't nobody bite on that. Ain't nobody talking about that. Not creating lives to cherry pick and lives to co-sign moral victories. We give moral victories. Every now and again we do. But that's too much like participation trophy. And what kind of message does that send to anybody? I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? I'm not with the dumb shit. I just wonder if this thing really has any kind of legs on it. I'm wondering if this thing got any kind of legs to it and what everybody thinks. Because I think, man, Matchroom, the thing with Angelina, bodywork, salute, salute, salute. Where's the 300 at? I don't know, man. It's like post-Sabril, man. 300 been looking anemic, Angelina. Good to see you, though. Good to see you, man. 300 been looking anemic. You know what I'm saying? But can we be real, man? I mean, we salute. We salute and give credit where it's due, but we gotta start thinking about our conversation, man. It's something I always try to do because, and I think, man, it's like, I think I'll be a little bit too ahead of the curve because I had put this up. And I got to go back to dating my thumbnails because I used to date my thumbnails. People were biting so much, I had to start putting dating on the thumbnail. Then I said, you know what? I can't stop them from biting other than coming out saying, you biting every 5 minutes. I can't do that. So I stopped putting the date on the thumbnails. But that used to also allow me to realize whenever I seen this or went back to this thumbnail, when I did it in relation to when I see the video suggesting the same. So I'm going into my little background here, and I'm gonna actually look and see when did I do this live. When did I do this live? July the 21st, y'all. July the 21st, y'all. I did a video on why not between Teofimo and Tank. So let me do this. Let's see. Let's see. You gotta stay ahead of the game. But if you would like to revisit it, this is me. That's why I be trying to say, like, sometimes I think I be moving too fast. Because the video I did about this was on July the 21st. And that's after I had sat back and thought about it and put it all together. So I was already thinking about it. But that's when I actually did the live on it to speak out on it. And now that they're both free, ain't nobody really clamoring for it. Or the whole thing is, well, Tank the top dog, he got to send the office. Like, since when? It's like, come on, man. People love to play that. All these people, do y'all realize, listen, man, Devin free. Devin free. T.O. free. Ryan is suspended. Pitbull had that fight. Ryu just got that belt. But out of everybody that we wanted, Shakur got free, Loma got free, Devin free, T.O. free. Tank is free. Tank is free. And everybody's saying, oh, well, Tank, he could sit in the office. He the one. Don't nobody send this. Don't nobody do this. But ain't nobody really trying to make that fight happen, man. Unless they're going to come up and shock us. But every option was getting kicked down by the wayside. Every option that people brought up was getting kicked down. Oh, man, you going to bring up another guy for 30. Or he going to do this. He going to do that. Even though those are people that everybody want to fight. But do y'all think, like, don't y'all think it's peculiar that nobody want to talk about this? I'm thinking, man, somebody check, like, some checks ain't being paid, man. If you think about what people like to sit around and talk about all the time and what they try to shove down your throat all the goddamn time, somebody ain't paying their envelopes. Like, all this boot, ain't nobody sat over there. Ain't nobody thought to look up Boots and to ask what's going on with Boots and them. But every time the Normans and them who got a fight coming up, every time they come out, they up their ass with a flashlight. Don't nobody find that real peculiar? Well, guess who we signed to? Matchroom. Ain't nobody thought to ask Tito Mercado, hey man, what's going on? You over there at Matchroom? What's going on? Any new news? What's going on? Oh, unless they bringing T.O. over and they're gonna give Mercado a shot at T.O. But when I look, Tito ain't even in the top 15 yet. He'll dust everybody but about, I would say everybody but about maybe 4 people straight away, like straight up. Like, that'll be a bad matchup. So it's hard for me to believe that Eddie gonna sign Tito Mercado and then sign T.O. to come over there to basically give Tito a belt. I'm telling you, Tito is the type that'll beat shit down T.O.'s leg, man. At this point in time, with the way he fight and how skilled he is, he saw the mistakes. He saw those mistakes. He's too tall, he's too disciplined, he has lots of power, he can make adjustments, he's good on his feet, high IQ. T.O. will be trying to go in there trying to catch him with that one shot unless he settled down, figure out how to get in and how to get out. You know what I'm saying? Without taking no punishment or getting knocked down or knocked off balance. Like, that would be dangerous. So I find it real odd, man. It must be, some people must not be getting paid, man, because there's one channel that I don't even know if Tank rock with the dude like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if he went over there, I would feel a lot better, but dude be on Tank nuts so much, he just put his name up there, attach his name to every fucking thing, say a whole bunch of other shit, and don't none of it be legit. Only time you really find out is when the coach get on there or if Tank were to ever get on there. Otherwise, this is whatever narrative and however you want to spin it, as long as it got his picture up there and name. I don't know if he's getting the check for that. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I find it real odd that the people that need to be talking about this and a lot of other things that's going on in boxing, they are silent right now. Why? Why? Why ain't nobody putting no pressure on this fight? He's free. Didn't nobody even put no pressure on Shakur? They just let him mosey on over there to Matchroom. You seen what happened? I be trying to tell people, man, we know this in life. We know all money ain't good money. And if we get real open, man, we will open up them cheeks like so wide for them people overseas, man, but we won't even sit down for a cup of coffee with our own. Yikes. So my whole thing is, where I guess it's envelopes that's not being passed. People are not being told, hey man, talk about this. Keyshawn got a whole card. Ain't nobody talking about it. Everybody barely started talking about this fight. Now, this is something I've been trying to hold close to the vest because this is a fight that I've been trying to hold close to the vest because people like, I'm just going to say sampling. But people are just now coming around to talk about this. This might be one of the best fights like right now, because as the heavyweight division goes, so does everything else. But when you ask us, why all the people with the loudest voices, why all the people with all the context, why ain't nobody talking about none of this stuff? Why is nobody talking about D-Block right now? Why is nobody wondering what's going on with Imanta Stanyanis? Why is nobody doing videos about Brown Norman and his next opponent? We just heard about Barrios. No videos about Barrios, but they want 147 to be dead. Why? So they can force this man to try to go up to 154. I've been told y'all about the push for him to go to 154. I already know. Why ain't nobody talking about that? Out of this group, with everybody always wanting, it's everybody wanting to always know what's going on with Tank. But if he picked anybody on this thumbnail right here, if he picked anybody right, well, why he gonna do this? Why ain't nobody doing no videos on them and what they got going on? Why ain't nobody doing no videos on Cruz? We hear Kid Austin, he got something, he gotta go, he got something that's about to be going on, whatever. He got an agreement. Keyshawn, we know he getting ready to fight in Norfolk. This man right here, Abdullah, he stayed busy. It's rumored that Edwin gonna be out for the rest of the year. He might be coming back in the new year. Why ain't nobody sitting down talking to Tank, Frank? Why ain't nobody hollering at Cruz? Them envelopes ain't been greased, huh? Them envelopes ain't been sent. What's going on with Gary Antoine? What Richardson Hitchens got going on? Oh, he ain't this and he ain't that. Well, Eddie had him showline and he just mad because he ain't this big. Where's the interview with Richardson Hitchens? Why ain't nobody ask Sandor Martin how he feel about Devin sidestepping him twice? Oh, that wouldn't be good for content, huh? When he took step aside for Rich to get it on with Devin, and then Devin stepped aside. Went and played in the sandbox by Ryan. Got knocked on his ass bad and was looking real sad, Black. But nobody want to sit down and ask Sandor Martin how he feel. Kenny Sims, they always, oh man, he ain't, a lot of people don't know him. Where's the interview with Kenny Sims and what his next move is? What are they talking about? We like creating the narratives, but we don't like building our own and putting some facts and some real emotion behind some other shit. We just like propagating that bullshit. The propaganda them spreading. Huh? This is not news. It ain't nothing going on but what the fuck Canelo did this week. Ain't nothing else going on. Ain't nothing else worthy. We got all these questions. People love to have all these narratives. But ain't nobody digging in. This is what we should have got, but because people kept pussyfooting around the conversation and not holding certain people to feet to the fire, it was no pressure for them nobody even make it. Frank, salute. Why they worried about Canelo and Berlanga pay-per-view, but lied about Haney versus Ryan pay-per-view? Exactly. Why ain't nobody? Yeah. Why? Yeah. Like no, because they don't want it. They refuse. Somebody say, "Oh, it wasn't this number." I heard the lamest. I said, "Well, okay, it wasn't this number." They said, "Oh, it wasn't 750. It was 749,999." I'm like, "Oh Lord." So you don't want to believe it's 750, but you want to believe that it's because you want it to be true. It's like somebody when they telling you a story and they build their inherent biases in the beginning and then ask you what you think. It's like, no, you want me to agree with you. That's not really what I think. Why? Because they need those numbers to be high. Why? Because they believe that those names and all that stuff push around in this great content because everybody wants to see it. The way I see it is content everywhere. There's backstories to everything. It's a backstory to everything out here. But most of the time, this is what it really is, man. I'm sorry to tell y'all, this is what boxing has really become nowadays. It's really sausage party boxing talk, where you get around, you circle jerk, you praise and worship one fighter. There is no objectivity. I go places where we get it in. We don't agree. We'll rough each other up. We'll get, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, level heads will prevail, and we'll come to an understanding that a lot of the times we are all getting played. But aren't you tired of the sausage party boxing talk where you got to be in agreements and you got to say this and that? It's bullshit. The standards move. The standards move. You know damn well if every time somebody talk about a fighter, right? If all they can do to support their guy is to diss and downgrade another guy, you know they ain't about shit. And how we used to say in the army, it's tight, but it's right. There are all kind of storylines here. This is a storyline in itself. They don't want this to be back to the glamour division. They want it to be watered down. They want to push everybody to 54 and clog it up. But guess what I always say? The same politics that's at 47 is going to be the same politics at 54, baby. Why? Because that bag is still going to have to be paid. And if you don't have no accolade, they're going to play the accolade game. What do you have to offer? If you leave this division and you still are going to be one of them guys that say, I ain't got nothing to offer, and then your guy, which is this guy right here. This guy right here on the left that Mike can call in the guy on the right to, you know what I'm saying, get it done. The guy on the left, if he ain't willing to spend no money, you're going to be dealing with the same politics. Ain't nobody going to be wanting to fight you for next to nothing. I be trying to tell, like, the people that's my age, a little bit older, like my old head. He loves boxing. But I had this conversation with him probably about, it feel like it's been about a year now. But I had this conversation with him about a year ago. I said, OG, boxing has changed, man. This is not that mano y mano no more. Like, people are not going in there. They're not going to get paid for peanuts. Like, and then the storyline. People don't want to see the best fight the best. They want whoever can create the most traction online and tickle the fancies of most people online. They want them to succeed. They don't care who's the best. This year boxing has been too much drama, nothing like last year more organized. Yeah, and Frank, I thought it was just me. I heard it. They said, man, this year is this and this and that versus last year. I was just like, no, I think last year kind of set it off. Last year kind of set the tone. You got to think, this year we got a lot of pump fakes. See, you got to think at the end of the day, man, like, see me, I try to keep shit binary, right? Like, it's just like a soccer game. I can't count the points unless the ball actually went in the goal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't count on anything unless the fight actually happens. See, there's a lot of people that get all this credit, all this stuff in the build up, all this, and yeah, I want this, and I'm rah, and I'm about to do this, and yeah, once I become a free agent, I'm going, And then they get out, and then they go do something that's like, But all that time, you got all of the credit for being the baddest man in the mess hall with your chest out. And then because at the end of the game, I don't know about y'all. Y'all could love the fact that this person headbutted that person and this other person kicked this person in the shin. Me, body work, I'm gonna be looking at, okay, it was 2-1. Okay, so what? So what? Who scored the first one? Okay, so then, all right. It was 2-1 at the end of the day. That's how I'm gonna look at it. So out of all the drama, no matter who got kicked in the shin, who headbutted, who did a backflip off the goalpost, no matter none of that stuff, I'm looking at the score. And the score is, a lot of people got a lot of credit this year for a lot of things that they have yet to do. And that's just facts. I like Stevenson. I don't with Eddie. Me too. Why these fighters ain't running to the money? Eddie is following Turkey and De La Hoya. Al is like, nope, not me. It's not sustainable. They've already shown it's already been good, especially with him quitting X. I said, yeah, I said grand open. I said, man, see, y'all gonna get attached to this foreign. And then when he started pulling out and started showing moves, I said, and Paulie, go back and look at it. I almost clipped it. Paulie actually, it was about a week after I said, I don't even know if it was a full week. When I was saying, yeah, he got y'all chasing the dragon. Paulie Malignaggi used that same example like 3 days later. 3 days later. He gave y'all that blue magic. And y'all been chasing that dragon. Now I can say the fight that's going on between I like the fight between Dubois and AJ. That's not an American fight, but I like that fight. Actually, I like that fight. The most meaningful fight that we can actually have, he actually going to get it. But remember, he's already gotten credit for that before, even though that fight has not happened, which is the Beterbiev and Bivol fight. That fight has to cross the finish line before he actually gets credit for it, because it already got pushed back. And just like he got credit for setting up, the Virgil Ortiz and the Tim Tszyu fight. He got credit for all that time, and that fight did not happen. Remember the Usyk and Fury, he got credit all that time. People were living in Creditville all of that time when that fight was on the books, but that fight got pushed back. So I'm the type of like I be keeping track of when the balls actually go in the holes. And until that actually happens, until somebody actually get across the finish line or the ball goes in the hole, we can't properly assess the accuracy of what it is and what did it do. But we give them credit well in advance. They sure don't. They don't care who's the best. Super pump faking. They don't, man. People don't care about who's the best in the ring. They care about who they have an attachment with and who they can have bragging rights on. And I'm like, well, I mean, you're just gonna be jumping from jockstrap to jockstrap, homie. Why? Because the sport of boxing goes on, and whether or not these boxers want to realize it, that whether it's their time or not, a la Danny and them, whether they want to realize it or not, it's just like what Bernard Hopkins said. Boxing will cause your bluff. It will call your bluff. And my whole message is, do not allow them to continue this whole divide and conquer with the conversation, because they do this all the goddamn time. And I think some people are sent here to do this, y'all. Some people are sent here to divide the conversation up and split everybody up. Why? Because when you're together, did y'all hear the little bread and circuses and what bread and circuses really were? And why do they give you the free food and the entertainment? It's so you won't rebel. So you won't rebel. But they do such a good job at getting the Normans against the Ennises, getting the Davises versus the Stevensons. And then they mix it all up, and we don't get to see none of them fight. So I say, let's be responsible in the conversation. And if we were all on the same sheet of music, we would understand that based on the choices that were made, Boots is in that matchroom purgatory. Whenever you hear Bozy come out and he say, "Oh well, we ain't want to fight in no Germany or nothing like that," it's like, okay, well, can you really point a finger at the Normans? Can you? Because they still got to fight. They got to fight on now. Boots do too, but Is it going to be the expense of him giving up a belt, or the expense of him running by another promotional company to go do his thing? So what would be the incentive for Tio to go over there to Matchroom? Because when Shakur did it, it was nothing but load management. Nobody didn't want to see Cordina. And by choices, people was mad at me when I said that the lab test was confirmed, because you can't say, oh, I want to fight Tank and then go sign with Matchroom. So T.O. ain't going to be able to tell me I want to fight Tank and then go sign in Matchroom. Because it's funny how articles can determine this. Articles can tell you this. Articles can tell you that you can deduct that the person that when a fighter is on this label and you go to that label, you're going to get that fight. There's no reason for you to believe that if the fighter fights over there, you can go over there and get a fight with that fighter. Why? You have no jurisdiction over them. Especially when we have examples of Shakur Stevenson being side by side with Lomachenko and Baranchek and Tio and Devin, and he don't get to fight none of them. But it's the guy over there. It's his fault. That shit sound good. That shit sound good. That shit sound good. These guys trying to hold the belt as long as they can. Rocky 3 right now. You know, it's the age well games. I call it the age well games, man. And some, and you know, they all hit their bumps and bruises. You know what I'm saying? They all have their knickknacks. I think T.O., he's a little hard-headed. You know what I'm saying? Because unless he's in total clearance with Bob, and Bob, you know, cleared that, you know, I don't know why these fighters don't realize it, but when you leave Bob and you have a belt and you didn't do it under the terms of which, even though it could be changing, it could be changing. When you leave Bob and you have a belt, unless you're strong enough to really make that transition and make a solid transition, you do know that any of your future dealings, this is how it was historically, any of your future dealings will be impacted. Yeah, unless you go out and you make a buttload of money and then you coming back looking for an opportunity, it's going to be hard pickings, man. It's going to be slim pickings. And why? It's just like this notion that people be thinking that, oh, I'm independent. It's like if you're independent and you're looking to fight somebody with a belt, think about it. People are not going to let you run by and do a drive-by. They not. They're not. Sadly enough, it's years later, and it's like, I knew it was a BS offer, but sadly enough, it's just like that deal when Devin wanted Mr. Gary Russell to sign a 3-fight deal with him. Now, since I see how they play this game all the time, I said, you know what? Mr. Gary might have should have called his bluff, and then I said, you know what? No, I think about it. They shaded enough to where if he was on a deal for 3 fights and he didn't do something they could have shelved him. Unless that thing was airtight to where it could have been a loophole for them to get out of it. Yeah, he could have called their bluff and did what he did, but they was not gonna let the man come by and do a drive-by. Why? Because if he came by and took Devin out, who had the strap, if he would have came back and took him out, what incentive would there have been for Devin to be able to do anything after that? You let a little guy come take your belt. So we got to think about it when we have these conversations to where people are not, if I got a champion and I got a bunch of people in my stable, I'm not going to come by and just let you do a drive-by on my guy without having control of anything after that. Well, if you win, or in the lead up to you fighting the main guy, can you get this one under, and so we can kind of have some momentum building it up? Can you fight this guy and then get my guy? Or after that, we got you for another fight. You know what I'm saying? We can talk about it, but it got to be etched in stone. People are not going to let you do a drive-by. It's a very seldom, very rare case that you're gonna be able to come out and do a drive-by, unless that guy is that guy and he chooses you. Stop me when I'm lying. T.O. don't want Tank smoke. I don't believe so either. It's funny that how everybody's quiet though. But it'll be Tank fault. I mean, I'm not putting up no, I ain't wearing no knee pads, I ain't sparing no throat coat, I ain't doing none of that. I'm just saying. It's funny how Tank is free. And it's like when Debo come around, man. When he leave, when he get a fight booked up, they're gonna be talking again. And I'm like, oh well, but it's his fault. They want to side everywhere but where the smoke is. Everywhere but where it makes sense to actually get a fight with him and then say it's his fault. Oh, he should have just sent me an offer. All right. If you like it, I love it. I know the father more than the fighters. Yeah, that's true. That's true. They all starting to take that, and you know that's a gift and a curse too, because you kind of want to get to know these guys. But I blame the people that be in care of the interviews. I blame the people, because think about the Brian Custer interviews, right? Think about Brian Custer interviews, right? Brian Custer interviews, he could ask the tough questions, but he had charisma. He had class. He had a way of getting things out and throwing jokes, but still asking the tough questions. Now, it's all about the drama. It's all about spiking the algorithm. Just like, no, but if you had good, high quality, like nutrient-filled content with these guys where you wasn't so drama, we wouldn't even look at the fathers like that. But these fathers are getting baited into it under the guise of promotion. I'm like, well, if you got to promote like that, why are you paying a promoter? They should be promoting. You should be available if they have questions, let people know I'm around or whatever, and this and this. But I blame the people that's doing the interview. They create those toxic moments, and then they put that on fan bases, and then fan bases just run around with that shit like wildfire. And you got to spend like all your time dousing them out and saying, oh man, calm down. Sit back, relax. You don't even know what you're talking about. You're emotional. Everybody got to take accountability, right? Us for being so bloodthirsty and wanting it. Why? Because we ain't getting boxing. If we were getting the real fights, we wouldn't spend half the time arguing about some of the dumb shit we arguing about online. We'd be like, damn, did you see that fight, man? Let's go back and look at round 2. Damn. We'll be looking at that. We don't do that no more. Why? Because we getting a bunch of BS inside the ring. And since we getting BS inside of the ring, the stuff that goes on outside of the ring, we gravitate towards more. And it's dumb as hell. It's counterproductive. Then we backtrack and we want to be on cold one day, and then we not on cold that day. But because I like this guy the same color as me, and I can disrespect him today, but then I don't have no respect and talk about his mother tomorrow, and call his daughter out his name the next day. It's like, but we got a code, and it's supposed to be all about boxing, right? I'm like, let's stop this shit. Let's get more responsible. Let's get our eyes on the prize. Where's all of the good news? Where are all of the people reporting on all the things I talked about? There's a lot of content to be had. I could do it all. I would do it all, but I don't want to be out here talking to myself. Why? Because your appetites are fashioned for drama. You like the bread in the circus more than what's going on inside the ring. After T.O. picked Claggett and Duck Norman, saying he didn't want to fight on Friday and the venue. That's what I'm saying. Like, he said, man, then afterward, he justified the Claggett stuff. Man, that Claggett fight, man, that was a real tough. Man, that guy's in. That's why he picked him. And then I hear it, then I know that it's an agenda when I hear, let's say, an arguable Hall of Famer. No, this guy's going to be in the Hall of Fame. This guy's he definitely gonna be in the Hall of Fame. He's definitely gonna be in. When I hear an arguable Hall of Famer say that, yeah, man, he needed that fight. He need those kind of fights, and he needed to pick a guy like that. I'm like, at this stage, what T.O. is at and what he needs, T.O. need that jam. Like, you know, when you used to play, like, I might be dating myself, but it was a game a long time ago. Let's just say RC Pro-Am, right? You play an RC Pro-Am, right? And you going around and you got to line up to where you get right on them turbo arrows just to give you that. T.O. been around and he done won some races and he done did some things, but he need one of them little turbo arrows right now. He need to come across one of them turbo arrows right now. And if he had his mind right, and I guess if he wasn't too greedy about the bread, and he just let it be what he was gonna be, like, because I think he would make some bread if he just was understanding. They sat down, because I think that the powers that be, I think that when it come down to Al and all them and the movies that they make, as long as you going along, like as long as you kind of have some sense and you want to make that fight, I think it can be very lucrative. But that's the arrow that he need. The arrow that he need. And plus he done said some things, you know what I'm saying? He done said Tank has some DSLs. You know, he's been saying a lot of racial things, you know what I'm saying, like that. And he's been dividing the fans. He's played his part in the divide and conquer. He fits the 4 king criteria. You know, he might be a little taller than Tank, but that's a fight that's been needed. It fits the green print. If he is free, if you're free from Bob, why the first thing that you would do is run across the pond? Across the pond is what I be saying, because you got to realize we can be all hype about these guys getting the bag and doing all that. And that's cool. We want them to get a bag. We do. But when you sign with Matchroom, more than likely you're going to be fighting people from across the pond. It's common sense. And for anybody, I'll be saying that it's part of survival when you have your own best interests in mind, right? If I'm going to have my own best interests in mind, then I'm going to have Baltimore's best interests in mind. I'm going to have Maryland's best interests in mind. I'm going to have the DMV's best interests in mind. I'm going to have the East Coast best interests in mind. I'm going to have America. And more than likely, depending on how you rock and how you roll, that's probably going to be the order of things. So, if you're dealing with a promoter who comes from across the pond, whose best interest he's going to have in mind? It's not rocket science. It's not. We already know. We know. I hate to keep going back to it. We know what it is. So when we ask that question, you got to be honest. And what is this? What is this when it always seemed like, oh, if money, remember, because they came in like Jay-Z and Jermaine Dupri. Money ain't a thing. So if money ain't a thing, why has money ultimately been the common denominator as to why we have not been getting all these fights? We gonna keep the same energy or not? Are we gonna do body work or not? Are we gonna start putting all our pressure on the fact that this is what we want, man? On both, like put pressure wherever we need it. That link in the description is the video from the 21st of July. Bingo, C-Dub. Bingo, C-Dub. You know how I learned it? I learned it the hard way. I learned it by taking the stairs, doing research, recording activities, looking at people, getting to learn fighters. Like, I actually like some of the fighters from across the pond. But is it in my best interest to see all of our talent from over here, Philly, New Jersey, fight everybody from over there? Like, no, occasionally, yes, but like, that's not what I see them by, because if that happens, then we're not seeing our talent here, especially when they're not built up to the point where they need to be, to where when they do fight somebody overseas, that it's just going to be that much bigger. It ain't like what like Stephen Fulton was doing when he went over there and got Inouye. It ain't like that. Stephen Fulton, he went across the pond to fight Naoya Inoue. Shakur Stevenson just went over the Matchroom and he was getting ready to fight Joe Cordina. It's a different, my friend. And we can sit around and act like we don't know what I'm talking about, and oh, here you go, he's hating. It's like, no, dude. Let's look at the big picture. Is the ball going in the hole or not? We're not getting the big fights. It's just excuses not to take good fights that the fans want. Exactly. And we understand, like, that's why I say, listen, you ever notice how the ones who actually come out and tell the truth, they don't like it? Why? Because it ain't no content nobody can do with it. It ain't no content that nobody can do with it. Like, when a fighter, I would rather a fighter tell me the truth. Richardson Hitchens, he should be way higher on people's radar. Richardson Hitchens, listen. Let me go in on Richardson's real quick. Not in on him, but let me talk about Richardson Hitchens. Far right. Richardson Hitchens over here on the far right. He should be expected. He should be appreciated way more right now. Why? Because what he did was, this is what he did. When he came along, they was asking him, they said, let me see. I don't like the fighters at the UK. I like the fans. Yeah. I mean, but Shakur, you know, he kind of said something too. He kind of said something like, the UK fans, I think y'all are the best. I'm like, well, I all the people, right? All the people that sit down and interview him, hey, bro, you know, what's going on? Like, why nobody sat down and asked Shakur, like, Shakur, man, I've been a fan for a long time. Like, me personally, I'll ask him. I'll be like, Shakur, dude, I've been a fan for a long time, man. I was fighting a good fight for you for a long time. People were just shitting on you. I was being the voice of reason, saying, man, listen, y'all on some bullshit. This ain't this ain't that. Shakur, what, like, explain this to me. You can feel that way? Like, those fans are better? You can feel that way all you want. But sit down with me, homie, and tell me why you think they are better than us. What did we do to you, or what did we say, or whatever? Or it's because you want somebody like Andre Ward. You want somebody like Andre Ward that's just gonna coddle you. They ain't gonna give you no tough love. He just gonna let you do whatever, and because he got his big shield and on his reputation, he ain't gonna. Now that's some big bro type stuff. But them ain't like big bro. Them ain't the kind of big bros I know. Big bros I know, they give you that tough love. They gonna tell you, like, nigga, like, sit your ass down, shut up. You know what I'm saying? Like, before we fuck you up. You want to be the best, don't you? Stop all that crying. You look soft. And then you're going to have to do something about it. You're going to have to prove them wrong. You're going to have to stand tall. You're going to have to be strong. You're going to have to develop some thick skin. Not run around where you could just be disrespectful like a child and just say whatever you want because you backlashing and your feelings are hurt because what people are saying are the truth. You know, sometimes, like, people tell you the truth. You know it's supposed to hurt. Do you know it's supposed to hurt? The truth is about Richardson Hitchens. Richardson Hitchens, when he was getting ready to go over there, when he went over there to Matchroom, he hadn't been done I mean, I think as far as developing, I think he kind of got a lot of development over there with TMT, but he was not getting promoted the way that he got some fight with some people that kind of, you know what I'm saying? He got some names under his belt that forced his style to develop, but he didn't get promoted the way he needed to. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can really answer why, but a lot of guys that leave TMT, nobody knows why. Why? Because, I mean, that's Floyd territory. You ain't going to really know unless you inside or you got somebody on the inside and they're going to tell you whatever. He didn't get promoted right. Everybody, like myself, I was happy for him when he went over to the Matchroom. When he went over to the Matchroom, I said, oh, okay, cool. Maybe he's going to get a shot at Devin Haney ultimately. Maybe he's going to get his wish and getting because he wanted Montana Love. I think he wanted, it was John Bowser. I think he signed up for John Bowser. He got John Bowser. He got, recently he got Gustavo Lemos. But going into that Gustavo Lemos fight, it was going to be him and Liam Paro that was going to do it, and they didn't come to an agreement on doing it, and that was going to be for the eliminator. I'm like, oh man, why he don't want to do that? He was one of the ones that came out and said the truth. He said, you know what, because of my size or whatever, and like the rehydration, he said, man, I don't know if I really want to do that. He said, I'm gonna take a fight and I'm gonna see if how my body react and how it is before I actually commit to doing it. I like that as a fan. I like that as a fan. That's way better than the Devin Haney only fans who they don't give a fuck how big he get. They want to make provision for the dude to be able to get even more rehydrated. But yet they was just now pandering for him to get a pyro fight. I'm like, how you gonna do that when it's a 10-pound rehydration clause and you know he ain't gonna be able to do that? Stop the cap. Trying to justify it as a unification or something like that. I was like, nope, he's not going to qualify for that because he didn't come back and get his strap before he did it. But everybody shitted on Richardson Hitch and said, oh man, this dude don't even want to go up and fight. No, he was responsible. He was, in one breath, you can take it as him saying, well, shit, I know I ain't going to 47. Not now. I'm going to stay here now. But I want to take a fight under the IBF, see how my body react to it, do this. I've been doing something different with my nutrition. I want to do this. Had a tough fight with Gustavo Lemos, but guess what? He never got dropped. Never hit the canvas. He edged out the fight. Ain't nobody campaigning for that man. They came out and shitted on that man. And guess what? Of all people, guess who shitted on him? Devin Haney. Oh man, he went over there and played in the sandbox against Ryan, got knocked on his ass bag, and was looking real sad black. And yes, people say he got cheated. We have to consider that. But he was Devin was the main one saying, oh, he didn't want to hear no excuses. And, oh man, you can't talk about weight. I was like, Dev, come on now. I've been one of your brutal. I can't say I'm the biggest fan, but I've been one of the fans that's been brutally honest with you. He grew on me in some areas, but I was one of the ones that's been brutally honest. I was saying, Devin, you have no right to talk about nobody when you've always had the height, the reach, the size, the activity. When his biggest knee pad wearing fan was saying that, oh man, what he was saying? He said he was better than Sugar Ray Leonard. He just said a lot of wild things, man. I was saying, listen, man, you don't have the right to talk about anybody when you've always had all of the advantages. We don't know what we're going to see in you until we see you fight against somebody where you don't have all of the advantages. And the first time we see that, golly. But when he went down in the sandbox and he went to the circus with Ryan, that's what you get when you play around with clowns. So now he's coming back, and people don't really want to be truthful in the fact that, man, the man don't really want to come back and get his seat back against Puello. You don't want to come get your strap back from Pueblo. But it's okay for you to turn the corner for Pyro. But you didn't want to unify with Sabril before Pyro beat him. And you think that you have a right to be able to say that Sabril was overhyped. What? You don't have the right to say that. You didn't beat the dude. You had no intentions on doing that. No intentions with Sandor Martin. But a fighter like Richardson Hitchens, who called out Devin, who stood in line and waited his time. He got John Bowser, eliminate him. I forgot the dude he fought after John Bowser. He got he got Bowser, and then he was supposed to get Montana Love. He messed it up. But a guy like Richardson Hitchens, he getting no love for telling the truth. Hey man, I want to see how my body do, man. I'm a little big, but you know what I'm saying? I'm good. I can make weight and all that, but I'm a little big, you know what I'm saying? Probably got to work on my nutrition a little bit. Want to see how my body do, and then I'll do it. There were people out here on YouTube clowning the man. That's why I said, man, y'all don't want y'all don't want the truth. Y'all don't like the truth. Y'all want WWE shit. And then y'all wondering and y'all up here crying and depressed because we getting WWE shit. And I said this too. I said, listen, that guy Gustavo Lemos, who gave Richardson Hitchens a very, very tough fight at 40, is getting ready to fight Keyshawn Davis. And Keyshawn Davis is at 35. But the good thing about Gustavo Lemos is he's a tweener. He can go with 35 and 40 and be just as effective because he got that size. I call him Pitbull Cruz with bells and whistles. He like Pitbull Cruz with more dimensions and more bells and whistles, but the same kind of way, like pressure, high pressure, but he got bells and whistles, right? When he took Richardson Hitchens, when they went the distance and Richardson Hitchens got a tough decision. He got a tough decision on that one. He didn't get no credit for that fight. People look at Richardson Hitchens like he lost that fight, even though he won that fight. When it's the same way with Devin and Loma. Almost like the same thing. Almost like the same kind of situation. Only Loma took off the last round, in my opinion. Loma took off the last round, and that gave the judges just that leeway to where, because out of cockiness, Loma thought he won that fight handedly and it was in the bag when it really wasn't. He should have just closed out the fight being a champion, because champions fight and close out in their championship rounds. That's how Kambosos separated himself from Teofimo Lopez. Yet, however, people don't look at Loma like he won that fight. The Devin fans say he won, and it was just, oh man, it was nowhere in the world you had Loma, but a lot of people say it was controversial. And as far as the fight goes, as far as how big of a battle of a fight, they both get credit for fighting each other. When Richardson Hitchens fought Lemos, they're not giving Richardson Hitchens no credit for that. But guess who is getting the credit? Keyshawn Davis is going to get credit for fighting this Gustavo Lemos. Ain't that something? But that's how boxing works. So the unsung guys, the blue collar guys, the guys that might get they bite at the apple, the guys that got to work extra hard because for some reason the powers that be don't choose them to pick, and get behind them and put the machine behind them and push them through the system. Because the machine don't pick them, they have it twice as hard. Why? Because they're not going to get as much credit. If they don't look spectacular, if they don't get the knockout, they're not going to get it. And if they lose, it's almost a wrap. Why? Because they're tough outs. They're looked at as not bringing a real, true demographic to the sport. And that's why people like Berlanga would be able to leapfrog somebody like a David Morrell, even though David Morrell was in that same spot that Berlanga was in prior to Berlanga getting in it, and he didn't get a shot, and nobody said shit. We don't like the truth. We don't like the truth. Eddie has his favorites. Yep. Zepeda is his favorite. Like, yeah, I don't even see if you paying any kind of attention, I don't even know how. If you was Shakur, I don't even know how you wouldn't even be looking at it like, yeah, like Eddie about to line you up, buddy. Eddie is lining you up. Why? Because he can say you the best boxer and you this and that and this and that. Once he figure out that he not gonna be able to make no money ticket wise off you, he took those lessons when it came down to Devin. You see how he talking about Devin nowadays? Now he's being real truthful about Devin now. That's why I say, man, you gotta listen to Eddie, how he talk about boxers before and after certain fights, like how we talked about Bud before the Spence fight versus how we talking about Bud now after the Spence fight, how we talked about Shakur prior to him leaving Top Rank versus how he talked about Shakur now that he's with Matchroom, how we talking about Devin Haney now. Why? Because he went through the bumps and bruises of doing things, and as he lost money, he's not going to be taking any more liabilities. Why? Because he already got to try to figure out if Turkey Sheik going to sprinkle something on it. And people say, why you call him Sugar Ali Sheik? I'm like, well, he looking like a sugar daddy to me. Except for the extra bread that he talking about, I have yet to hear that the bread that he's supplying for some of a fight of my interest or of a fight that everybody wanted, getting it across the line because all it needed was a little bit of sugar from the Sheik. I can't point to any. But again, I'm binary. I track X's and O's. Like when we threw our fishing rod out, when we reeled back in, was there a fish in the bucket when we went back and we had to dock the boat? Not the good time we had, not how such and such took a piss over here, or how this person hit his head over there, or not all of that. Did we get some fish? Oh, we didn't? Oh, okay. All right, well, I guess we you know, while in our attempt to fish, we entertained ourselves, even though we didn't get nothing in the cooler. That's me. That's body work. Y'all can be amused by all that other stuff. I try to keep it binary, like X's and O's. Did we get a big fight or not? Did it equate to us getting a fight or not? If it didn't, what are we talking about? The experience? I'll leave that up to the other guys. Devin isn't undefeated. I'm not paying for any of his fights. Eddie and Frank. Eddie, a good salesman. Yeah, I say that he's a good promoter. He can promote. He can get your name up in lights. He can get you the exposure. And if you sat down and you wanted somebody to talk glowingly of you and, you know, say something that had the fans like, oh, well, you know, he can do that. But as far as the matchmaking part of it, he does it according to what benefits him, which is his right as a promoter. But the matches don't make sense. Boots, it was going to be his second guy from across the pond, Avanesian and Karan, and everybody was like, oh, yeah, Hearn, and yeah, I'm so glad all these fake-ass channels coming. I'm really happy for Jerron, and he's this and this. Yeah, we was happy Jerron got paid, but we didn't want him to do the same thing he did with Andre over there just to play keep away with. And there are some people that are under this grand illusion that Eddie is going to try to get Devin and so he can fight Boots. It's like, man, shut the hell up. Devin ain't never going to be in the same weight class as Boots. The minute Boots go to 54, Devin going to go to 47. The minute Shakur go to 40, Devin is going to 47. We can act like we don't know what's going on, but Eddie got a plan. He's getting all this talent. I'm wondering when he going to let them all fight each other. Because out of all of the guys, we didn't get Richardson, Hitchens, and Regis. We getting Regis and Catterall. He served Regis up to Devin. We didn't know. I didn't know personally. I didn't know Devin was going to do that to Regis. That's one of the times where that was one of the times where I could say Devin shut me the fuck up. And I was proud that he did. I said, wow. That's what I've been wanting. That's the kind of fan I've been wanting to see that. You do that. Not all this picking where you got all, and again, I did point out that he still had all of the advantages except for power. He had all the advantages except for power over Regis too. But we'll work on that. But the fact that Regis was a reigning champion, he was one of my guys. I call him the crippler. I was proud of Devin for doing that. But these other moves and this stuff and how these fans they glazed this, they forgot. I seen some stuff earlier. I seen some stuff that where like, yeah, if I grab this now and really take my time and do this video, I'll make some people look real dumb. It's just like I say, you know what? Kind of don't have the time. Because why? Ain't nobody gonna believe me. They just gonna think I'm hating. But what these guys will do is they'll paint a narrative for so long. And then when their fight is off the map and doing something else, you'll hear them make the same argument against another fighter and they shoot themselves in the foot. Because it don't make sense. But they come around to let you know that they knew it was wrong when their fighter was doing it. But now they're making an argument against this fighter. Now it's okay, but they learned how people can poke holes all through that. But it's just a matter of time. Some people they'll lie for 3 weeks. Some people will lie. It's one like the biggest Devin knee pad wearing. He been lying for about 3 years now. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he's ever going to stop lying. That's just me though. You know what I'm saying? He lied about every damn thing, especially when it comes to Devin, and then it switch around when it comes down to somebody else. But that's another story. I'm not that kind of fan. So that's why I said today it felt like somebody was triggering a lot of people to come down and shit on Edgar Berlanga, even though a lot of people didn't want to shit on Edgar Berlanga. A lot of people really wanted to give Edgar Berlanga his just due and his credit because he beat the odds. If you go into a fight and you're a plus 900 money line, a plus 1800 TKO or KO, and a plus 2100 for a decision. Like, we supposed to be like, oh, like what the odds say, $10 will get me 100. $10 might give me $210. $10 will give me $180. That meant the casinos had no intentions on paying any of that out by chance. So to praise that, to campaign that you just was a world beater and you did this and you want a rematch, especially when people didn't even want Devin to rematch Loma and how close that fight was, but they already bargained for Berlanga to get another bite at the apple. I said, man, y'all can sit around and have these dumbass conversations and again have all of these what I call them, y'all, sausage party boxing talk. Y'all can do that, not me. I mean, all that another shot and all. If he go do this, let him go do that, and at that point in time, let's revisit that. But how are we 3 days later, we still hung over from what? From what? A dude that's supposed to be the face of boxing beating somebody that going 12 rounds and dropping somebody once for somebody that he was a plus 900 money line, plus 1800 on the KO line, plus 2100 on the decision. Like, really? This is what boxing come to? This is what we expect? This is where, like, where all the pressure be saying, oh, no, it's this guy. Oh, he say he the money guy. He did. Well, this guy's free, and ain't nobody saying his name. Ain't nobody doing no content on the fact that everybody's avoiding this guy. This guy's free now. And don't nobody want that smoke. Everybody's so passive. Oh, no, he said he was busy last time I called him.
Last time I checked, man, he was out. He was over there with the Olympians. He was just free. I mean, unless they playing us, like sometimes I do think that they all know what's going on. All these guys, because the world is a stage and the fans are the ones getting played. But I be trying to say that they be playing us, but I be wrong. But I'd be like, nah, maybe, I don't want to step on no toes. I don't know. I'm not inside these rooms. I don't sit on these couches. I don't have no inside scoops. I just have a inkling where I be knowing. Like, yeah, they probably know. Yeah, they playing us. They gonna keep us in suspense. Because I just knew since the Canelo stuff is almost like the Super Bowl of fights, that ain't nobody gonna really release no information before the Canelo fight, but right after we gonna figure it out. We still don't know. So I think we all get played. You know what I'm saying? So let me know if you catch this on the playback. You know what I'm saying? If you have any concerns, like if you just want an opinion or a take or something, holler at me. Let me know. C-Dub, USA don't be keeping it real, man. Will you be flip-flopping too much? Yep. But that was just some things that was on my mind, man. I said, let me do my little event session about it, man. Hopefully it'll come back around. I'm about to get on this AJ and Dubois fight, man. I think it's a sneaky good fight, a very good fight. I think that a lot of people like this fight on the low though. They're not gonna come out and say it because it might not be that popular to campaign for it. But it's a lot of people that are checking for this fight. It has big implications. You can say what you want about Dubois, you can say what you want about AJ and what you think and how you feel and all this and that. This is a good fight, man. This is a good fight. And if we can say that there's a resurgence in the heavyweight division now, we have to acknowledge that there was a dip in the activity before, but it's just like everything else. Those sine waves that's up and down, almost highlight waves, almost like ebbs and flows, just like everything else. Same thing. But I always try to challenge your critical thinking skills, man. I try to get you to think outside the box, or at least, man, don't abandon your own reasoning, your own ability to think for yourself. Stop getting spoon-fed so much. Take 5 minutes out to research something before you just run with it. Because it's real dangerous to run down, run down in a room full of hot dogs with your mouth wide open. That's dangerous. Protect yourself at all times. You feel me? Like I know, better keep your head on a swivel. But again, man, I hope y'all took something away from it, man. I hope y'all took something away from what I contributed today. Shout out to everybody who came in the building, man, and said what's up to me, who dropped by, man. I appreciate y'all, man. But don't be scared to do some body work, man. Don't be scared to challenge people, man. Stop letting people get away with a lot of the dumb shit that they say without no kind of resistance, man. No kind of challenge, man. Stop going with the flow all the time. That's very dangerous. All it takes for evil to prevail is for grown men to sit around in silence. And I always said, since I redawned and rebirthed the purpose of this channel, that my channel is called, the root of it is silence is consent. Meaning, man, if you ain't saying nothing about something, man, then you agree with it. So what you talking about? What you talking about? Appreciate everybody who came through today. Thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.